Hello, this is Sabina at Cross Keys Crafts with the Visible Image Artist Trading Card Swap for January 2024. And the topic this month is sort of open. The topic is choose one of your past topics. And I looked through the ones I haven't done yet because I joined end of 2022. And yeah, I've found a few ones that were intriguing, but I like a bit of a challenge, and I thought I'd choose this one, which is monochromatic, as I haven't done many monochromatic cards. I did one where I created a green card with stencils, stamping, double stenciling actually, but I haven't done this with my visible image stamps. And the other thing I thought is I wanted to use one of the stamps I haven't used yet, which is this one, this Stay Wild. I have used this sentiment stamp before, but I haven't used the horses yet. So I thought I'd give this a go and create something. I've got, two stencils actually ready here. I think I would probably use this one for the background. I have got Distress Oxide Black Soot. I've got my VersaFine Onyx Black, and I've got on the side here my clear embossing powder, because even though I want to stay monochromatic, so do black and white, obviously you can do monochromatic in other colour schemes, I would like to get some different textures. So I thought if I stamp in black and heat embossing clear, I get a layer that is shiny, and then I can come in with my black soot. I think I will keep this plain just because of the theme. I don't want to over embellish this, but I think this is what I'm going to do. I'm just getting my stamping platform ready. I've already pre-cut my card shape here, but this is a bit bigger so I can cut it down afterwards. So when you want to heat emboss, don't forget you use your anti-static powder. I nearly did that. So I'm just brushing it where the image will be. I find with visible image stamps, I don't need to take any residue off from production. With other stamps, especially the cheaper ones or the ones that come from magazines, I always have to do that. But if in doubt, I can ink this up. And if I find it sort of resists the ink a little bit, I can just take a print with some scrap paper on it. Let me just put some here on the side. So I can just take this off now, and that would prime it as well. And I've also got a little idea. Yeah, you can see it's a bit speckled, so that's usually a hint that there is some residue. So now if I ink it up again, it's a bit more of a solid look. I don't need to ink the whole lot up, so you can't see. Let me pop this underneath, because obviously I won't get the whole image on the ATC. I will create a card to go with this with the same techniques, but I won't show that, and that will have the whole image on it. I'm just working on my usual 300 GSM smooth cardstock from, I think it's UK Crafts, I think it's called. Yeah, it's a bit speckled here, but I like the look of that. I might just go in again. The problem is, when I lifted this, the card did move a little bit, so I'll try to avoid double stamping. But I think I'm happy with that. So, I now come in with my clear embossing powder. And you can see where you've applied the clear embossing powder because it's all matte. I've got some residue on the top here. I think there might have been some splodges, or I might have put my finger into the ink. It's not a problem because I'm going to stencil over that, but I just want to take the embossing powder off. Just in case you're wondering why I'm stamping in black and embossing in clear rather than embossing it in black or with a normal Versamark, I find if this sprays, if the black powder sprays, I can see it everywhere. Here, if I have any clear residue anywhere else, it doesn't show. And I always find this gives a nicer look than, especially with the very solid images, than my black embossing powder, although I recently replaced that, but I still think I get the better results here. So I quickly heat set this off camera. I will try and do it from the back, because then the powder doesn't spray. Sometimes the cardstock can be a bit too thick for that, but I definitely give it a try. So I'm heating up my tool for 30 seconds first, and then I'm going to use it on there on the back, and I come back when I've heat set this. The embossing powder has cooled now. If you have a look, because it's such a big area, it is quite speckled, but I like the look of that. Don't ask me why this happens. I just like the fact that it does happen. I'll see this as part of the creative process, and it is homemade. So if you don't like the look of that, experiment. Sometimes it's the different embossing powders, sometimes it's the heat itself. I tried to heat set it from the back, that didn't work. I had to go on the front, but I think this is really cool. And the thing I like about the visible image stamps is you don't need a lot of anything else. There's a lot of going on. So if you find today's tutorial is a bit straightforward because I'm not really showing new techniques, that's fine. That's fine by me. But I think all this needs now is the stenciling. So as I said, my idea was to come in with this one. I have to think whether I want it at an angle or not. And I will not put stenciling on the splashes here. I will just be on the edges of the horse. And because I've heat set this, this won't take any of the ink I'm putting on the top. So I'm actually, it'll actually be easy to basically go round the horse without having any residue on the horse. I'm just checking. I don't want to have too many of the open areas here. So I'm just having a look, and I don't want to show the round area either, although obviously I will cut it to size, so I might just go in straight anyway. I don't know if there's a back on the front, but I might have used this one before, so I think I'll just place it down here. I will type it down just a little bit because my card is slightly bent from the heat embossing. This is not a problem because I will probably put it on a base card anyway. But I just want to keep this in place. So as I said, I'm just using my black soot. I have to have a look how deep I want the colour to be. Whether I want it black or whether I want to have it more like a grey colour. I think more grey would be nice actually. But I like the matte look in contrast to the embossing powder. So I keep holding this down with my finger a little bit and just going over this. So take this off now. Yeah, I really like this. The only thing I don't like is that corner on the top there. But I'll probably cut it to size anyway. And I think on the main card, where I need a bigger area, I'll probably just come in from the sides. But yeah, I think this is cool. So I was just contemplating whilst I was doing the stenciling whether I do want a sentiment stamp anywhere. I could put that on a separate piece and put it on top. I might just do that, but I first will have to cut it to size to judge whether I want that. And I shall quickly do this off camera because I've cut this 4 inches long and 3 inches wide, so I know I have to cut half an inch off. So I'll have a quick play on my guillotine and then I come back. So I have cut my ATC to size. I just go round, you can see I've got loads of strips here. I just go round, turn it round and then go back where I want to cut off more rather than cutting it straight away and then regretting it. The other thing I forgot to, well, I mentioned it earlier, but I forgot to tell you as one step now is, because I've done the stenciling, I could use just some tissue paper and take any excess oxide off the embossed part so you don't have any residue there. So I have decided I will put a sentiment on here, but rather than doing it in black on white, I will heat emboss this on black. And I will just use this Stay Wild sentiment. I don't want the bottom thing, I think. Don't let them tame you. No, I like the Stay Wild as such. But when I thought about heat embossing in white, I had an idea for the main card. I just got some as a scrap circle actually, which I thought might be quite handy. So for the main card, I thought rather than doing the same as I've done here, I'm going to stamp and heat emboss in white on black card. And then I've got a white oxide, so I can do the same sort of stenciling, but in the reverse colours. As I said before, I will do this off camera. I don't want to keep this video too long and I don't have a lot of time at the moment to record things. So I will do this off camera, but I will definitely show you the finished ATC and main card in the end. So I'll stop filming here now and I'll be back. I don't think I need to show you how I heat emboss in white on black cardstock. Just the same steps as before. Use your anti-static powder tool. I will stamp this with my Versamark and then use my white embossing powder. One little tip I do want to show you though is this. As I said, I don't want the bottom of that sentiment stamp. And yes, I could just stamp it, heat emboss it and then cut it off. But I want to have a play with the size of my piece that I want to stamp this on. So I'm just using some of this removable tape and I'm covering the letters here at the bottom, the words that I don't want to stamp. And I'm just actually using my finger to run this round the stamp as well to make sure I'm not covering the letters I do want to have. Pressing this down as well, you can press it down on the acrylic block. So now when I use my Versamark, I don't get anything on here, and I'll have to lift this up before I actually stamp it because you will have some residue on the tape, but there won't be any on the letters. So that's another little tip from me. So my ATC is finished. I have added the sentiment here. I did use the white ink on the stencil here as well. I'll show you what I've done on the main card and then you can see what this is. So I did everything in reverse here. I used the white embossing powder with a Versamark and then I used the stencil. By the way, I cleaned the stencil thoroughly so I wouldn't have any black residue from the stenciling here. And I used the Versamagic Cloud White. It's an archival ink and this is the one from Tsukineko. And rather than using my blending brushes, I used a sponge and actually dabbed this through the stencil. I find that a bit easier, but as you can see there's always a bit of residue, so I'm always a bit cautious when I go back onto the stamp pad. So, and once I had done this, I decided to go onto this black sentiment strip as well. So you've got a bit of stenciling on here as well, but I cut it down quite a bit because I wanted it to fit onto the ATC there. I've just seen I've got a bit of residue here I can take that off with a bit of alcohol, like on a little tissue, because it's a bit matte there on the top. I think this looks really nice. I straightened this a little bit by just bending it a bit backwards like this, but with the main card, because of the heat embossing, it was quite bent, and after I put it down on another piece of cardstock, because my black cardstock wasn't very thick, I actually put this through my die cutting machine between two pieces of paper, so I wouldn't have any imprints from my cutting plates. I've also cut out a little oval here, and I've used the full sentiment stamp this time, and I also used one of the little horses that came with a stamp set. And as on the ATC, I did the stenciling in black, but I just used the residue, so it's actually rather grey than black, and this will go on the front after I finish the card base. I decided to go for a round card just because I happen to have this black round piece of cardstock, but I just wanted to show you how you can create a round card. There are two ways of doing this. You can just fold your paper into half and then align the die just over the edge. Let me just show you on a piece of paper. So if that was the card base, you would then take, obviously a bigger piece, you would then use your die and you would go over the edge like this, so that it would cut on the side but would not cut the middle bit, and then you've got a fold down the top. You can vary this a little bit how much you want the on the fold. The downside of that is the front panel is never round because you've got this top bit missing, but you can create a fully round card by just cutting two separate panels in white, or well, can be any other colour, and then the one that goes on the back, you put it in your scoreboard, and there's my score tool, and then you just create a score line. I would do this one, just checking whether I do it at 3/8. Yeah, I suppose 3/8 is enough. So just making sure I'm in that score line here in the ridge. So after I've done that, I just fold this back a little bit. It doesn't have to be too much. Don't even have to burnish it too much. And now you just put some glue just on the fold there, and you align the front so that this, I would lay this down on my grid here like this, and then when I pop this on there, I'm making sure this is straight and this all aligns. Let me just put my scoreboard to the side. So I'm just using my Cosmic Shimmer glue. You can use the collal if you wanted to. Just making sure it won't ooze out. There, so popping it on there, and if I just zoom in a little bit, if I place this down now, aligning all sides. This one actually might be a bit wonky, so I've got a bit of wiggle room, but I don't want to move it too much about. So if I press this down now, put some glue on here, this one not pressing without a finger. I can open it up now and just checking that there's nothing there. If I leave this to dry now, I will then be able to use that as a hinge and open it up. The other thing that is advisable if you don't want the card to roll around is to align this in your guillotine now. Make sure this is a straight line here going straight down, and then you can just cut a slither off. You can do that beforehand if you want to, but I find it just as easy to do it afterwards. And after I've done that, I will put this on the front, and then I'll just quickly show you the finished card. Yeah, so this is as much as I've just cut off, really just a slither at the bottom, and then that allows you to stand the card up like that without it rolling. So, and I've put the sentiment oval here on some foam pads just to give it a little bit of dimension and interest. Yeah, and I think this is really nice. And here again is the ATC to go with it, and yeah, I'm really pleased with these two. If you like these two, you might want to give me a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more of what I'm creating, I usually post videos on a Wednesday and a Sunday. You might want to subscribe to my channel. I'd be very happy about that. And I'll see you soon with another video.